Hi, Mark Donovan here, and today I'm going to go over the topic of commercial pilot certificates, and particularly what you can and can't do with that commercial pilot certificate. I remember years ago when I went for my commercial pilot certificate, I was surprised on how much I couldn't do with it. And it seemed like more of the testing was about making sure I understood what I couldn't do with it rather than what I could do with it to receive compensation or be hired for employment as a commercial pilot. Anyways, in this video, I'm going to go over topics such as holding out and what private carriage is and what common carriage is, and give you a couple examples of what's legal and not legal, and also talk about the related FARs on this topic. So follow along, and if you like this video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to this channel so you get notified when I come out with my next video. All right, let's get into it. What you can and cannot do with that commercial pilot's license. So, common pilot privileges and limitations are defined by 14 Code of Federal Regulations 61.133. Just at a high level, from a privileges perspective, a person who holds a commercial pilot certificate may act as a pilot in command of an aircraft, carrying persons or property for compensation or hire, provided the person is qualified in accordance with this part and with the applicable parts of this chapter that apply to the operation, and for compensation or hire, provided the person is qualified in accordance with this part and with the applicable parts of this chapter that apply to this operation or to the operation. So this second part is about maybe you're offering some type of service that doesn't involve carrying people or property, but you are getting compensation in some form or other. Limitations. A person who applies for a commercial pilot certificate with an airplane category or powered lift category rating and does not hold an instrument rating in the same category and class will be issued a commercial pilot certificate that contains the limitation: the carriage of passengers for hire in airplanes or powered lifts on cross-country flights in excess of 50 nautical miles from the departure airport or at night is prohibited. So basically, you can only do some very short flights, less than 50 nautical miles during the daytime, and there's no night flying at all for a person with a commercial pilot's license that does not have an instrument rating. All right, what privileges apply to a commercial pilot license holder? We're going to just kind of bring this down in a nutshell here. So again, a commercial pilot license allows you to fly for compensation or hire, and you may act as the pilot in command of an aircraft carrying persons or property for compensation or hire, or for compensation or hire for some type of activity that doesn't involve carrying people or property, such as maybe pipeline patrol monitoring, surveying, or something to that effect. A commercial pilot certificate by itself does not allow a pilot to act as a commercial operator, such as a Part 121 airline operation or Part 135 charter company operator. It only allows a commercial pilot to work for a commercial operator and be paid for their service, with certain exceptions as listed in 14 Code of Federal Regulations 119.1, and we'll go over that a little later. 14 Code of Federal Regulations 61.133 specifies that a commercial pilot must also be qualified and comply with the applicable parts of the regulations that apply to the particular operation being conducted under Part 91 or Part 135. So, for example, with a Part 135 charter service, a Part 135 charter services can't necessarily just hire you because you just got your commercial pilot's license with 250 hours. There are certain requirements under Part 135 in terms of how much experience you have for cross-country flights, night flight, instrument flying, etc. So all those applicable requirements under Part 135 need to be met, or you need to meet them to actually be hired for that Part 135 operation. So next we're going to go over what is holding out. Holding out is when a commercial pilot actively advertises, communicates, or presents him or herself to the public as willing to provide transportation services indiscriminately to that segment of the public that is designed to attract. So if I was to take my commercial pilot's license certificate and start advertising it in newspapers, on the internet, and so on, saying I've got this service that I can provide to you, that is holding out. Now, holding out can work for common carrier, but it does not work for private carriage or something that you can do with your commercial pilot certificate, with some exceptions. So In doing so, trying to hold out with just that commercial pilot certificate, you could be in violation with the FAA regulations, and you wind up getting that phone call from the FSDO or the FAA saying, hey, looks like you're doing something that you're not supposed to be doing. Again, there are certain exceptions as listed in 14 Code of Federal Regulations 119.1 that enable a pilot with a commercial pilot certificate to offer certain flight services for hire without having to acquire the necessary license or permits to operate as a commercial carrier or operator. And we're going to go over those in a minute. Next, I want to go over the terms common carriage and private carriage. So common carriage for hire means when a carrier offers transportation services to the public for compensation and includes transporting people or cargo from one place to another. A few terms that we'll go over. Again, holding out, that's when a carrier advertises their services to the public via signs, flyers, word of mouth. Key thing here is word of mouth. Even word of mouth is a form of holding out. Willingness, the carrier offers to transport people or cargo for compensation. So they're not only holding out, but when somebody comes to approach them, sure, they're going to say, yeah, we're willing to do this and do it for a fee. Transportation, again, carrier transports people or cargo from one place to another. And then compensation, again, the carrier is charging a fee for their transportation services. Private carriage for hire is about only transporting people by special agreement and does not involve holding out. So it's when you have a special agreement set up that does not involve you actually going out there and marketing and advertising yourself. So some private carriage examples include carriage of the operator's own employees or property. So let's say I had a business and I've got a couple of people that work for me and I'm going to take them from point A to point B. I could be doing that from a commercial standpoint. Carriage of participating members of a club. Carriage of persons and property that only incidental to the operator's primary business enterprise. And the last one, which can get kind of messy if you're not careful, carriage of persons or property for compensation or hire under a contractual business arrangement between the operator and another person or organization, which did not result from the operator's holding out or offering service. So somebody could come to you out of the blue and say, hey, look, I want to see if you can take my people here or there, and I'm willing to pay you this amount of money to do that, and you might enter some type of arrangement or contract to do that. So in that particular case, they came to you, you weren't advertising, you weren't saying, I'll charge you a fee or I want a fee. Again, they came to you, they offered you, the opportunity to take these people and that they would pay you some money. If you've got that commercial pilot certificate, then that's something you can do. Up to a limit. If you're doing many flights of this per year, then that could look like you're a carrier service. So there are some limitations on that. So again, in this example, a customer seeks an operator to perform the desired service and enters into an exclusive mutual agreement as opposed to the operator, the person with a commercial pilot license, for example, seeking the customers. So we'll go over a couple examples of a common carriage and private carriage. Scenario one, a local businessman comes up to you and says, hey, I've got a package that needs to be flown to a destination airport ASAP, and I'll pay you to fly my airplane there to deliver the package. So they've offered to pay you to fly their package somewhere in their own airplane. That type of situation would be considered private carriage because you are not holding out, you're not advertising, you're not offering the services for a fee. The businessman approached you and asked you to provide the service and offered you compensation to do so. Scenario two, a local businessman comes up to you and says, hey, I've got a package that needs to be flown to a destination airport ASAP, and you reply that you can provide the service for a fee and then promptly go out and look for a plane that you can rent that you can use to transport the package. Now that's a case of common carriage. This would be considered common carriage operation because you're holding out by indicating a general willingness to all customers with whom contact you or contact is made to transport people or property from place to place for compensation. So in scenario one, it was kind of, they came to you, said they're going to give you the money if you do this, and you're going to be flying in their plane or flying their plane. Basically, you were not holding out in that situation. Versus scenario two, you really kind of engaged in the conversation, say, yeah, I'll do it. I'll charge you a fee and I'll go get a plane. That suggests that you're holding out and have a willingness to basically offer effectively like a charter service. And that's a problem with just a commercial pilot certificate. Last section, commercial pilot license operations exemptions per 14 CFR 119.1. So with a commercial pilot certificate, a pilot is eligible to perform certain operations that fall under Part 14 CFR 119.1 that are exempt from having to be working for an operator like a Part 135 operation. And so again, under these exceptions, the commercial pilot is not required to obtain that Part 121 or Part 135 or Part 125 certificate to engage in the following operations. Student flight instruction. Let's say you're a CFI. You can do flight training and not need to go get an operator certificate to do that. You can ferry flights. Let's say somebody has a plane that they've come up to you and say, hey, Mark, can you take my plane from point A to point B for me so I can have an annual done next week? Again, you could do something like that. Non-stop commercial air tours. Let's say you want to fly from your departure airport over some scenic area that's less than 25 nautical miles away, and you're only going to just fly over that area and come back and land back at your departure airport. That's some type of operation that you can do without needing an operator certificate under Part 135. Then there's all types of aerial work: banner towing, firefighting, crop dusting, seeding, spraying, and bird chasing, power line or pipeline patrol, aerial photography or surveying, helicopter operations, and construction or repair work. And then, similar to what I just talked about a few minutes ago, non-stop flights within 25-mile radius of takeoff location for conducting intentional parachute operations, so parachute jumping. You might be able to be hired to drop people from a plane for parachute jumping. And again, second to last one here, helicopter flights within 25-mile radius of takeoff location. Again, like a scenic flight in a helicopter. And then the last thing is emergency mail service. So let's say it was critical to get some mail somewhere. You could do that and get compensated for it. So those are the things that you can and can't do with that commercial pilot certificate. And hopefully now you have a better understanding of what holding out is and what private carriage is and common carriage is. And my only final recommendation is make sure you're conservative with anything you do with that commercial pilot certificate. You don't want to get in that phone call from the FSDO where somebody is alleging that you're basically offering charter services on just your commercial pilot certificate rather than a commercial operator's license. Anyways, hopefully you found this video helpful, and if you did, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to this channel so you get notified when I come out with my next video.